Okay then, Craig.
True.
The Coen brothers have a new film.
That they certainly do.
In which they talk about people being like ferrets, and, well, I'll let you tell everybody more about it, but can I just say that when I went to watch this film, I was not expecting the sash.
Yes. Yeah. Well,
that threw me.
We'll mention something of that section. Maybe not for the purposes of the sash, but yes, interesting. The latest from the Coen brothers, The Ballad of Buster Scruggs, comes to you courtesy of Netflix, which in retrospect seems a good fit for this slightly less commercial endeavour, being an anthology sextet of short stories set among the American Old West. Fronted by Tim Blake Nelson as a self-proclaimed San Saba songbird himself, the first segment of Scruggs is by far and away the most engaging. The cautionary tale of an upbeat, archly pragmatic gunslinger with improbable aim and a penchant for song. Now, I have to confess to being no great fan of Tim Blake Nelson's dramatic stylings. Indeed, I consider him to have almost single-handedly ruined Syriana for me in his mere moments of screen time. Now, with this in mind, I was not particularly looking forward to the Coens' latest, being as the scant marketing I had seen seemed to revolve entirely around his visage. Imagine my surprise then when I found this to be by some margin the most enjoyable 20 minutes on offer, at times rivalling the Coens' best darkly comedic moments and setting a wonderful tone that I was eager to see sustained throughout the remaining 5 tales. Eager. The second section, starring James Franco as a bank robber, shares some of the first segment's dark humour and engaging character, albeit somewhat diluted. Any fears that this particular story might not have sufficient steam to carry the necessary momentum are alleviated by it being the most brief, and in the absence of any meaningful context or message, it does at least have the good grace to exit the building at a brisk pace. So far, so interesting. At this point, I was enjoying watching the Coens cut loose and having a bit of a play around. Sadly, the remainder of the sections are of very variable quality, lack almost any sense of humour, and at least 2 of them could stand to lose 25% of their runtime. Contrary to the opening tales, these segments offer little that is engaging beyond some admittedly wonderful individual performances, and in one instance, we watch Liam Neeson commit to film one of the most starkly cynical vignettes in human history.
Worst agent ever.
or perhaps most literal agent ever. In particular, I found myself wishing I could spend more time with Bill Heck and Zoe Kazan in their incarnations from the 5th tale on offer. But again, we are treated to a resolution of sorts that callously deprives us of any such hope. The more I've thought about it over the last 24 hours, the odder this whole approach to the movie seems. In the absence of much traditional narrative, or for the most part levity, it feels at times as though the purpose here is to demonstrate just how well the Coens have mastered the art of character by callously disposing of them just as easily as they appear to conjure them. Which is not to say that there's nothing to enjoy here. Again, as brief as the time we spend with them may be, there are some wonderful characters embodied in wonderful performances, and the comic moments that come are often as inspired as one could hope for. I'm just kind of worried that the point of it all may be as downbeat as I fear it is, or that even worse, there may be no point at all.
I really enjoyed The Ballad of Buster Scruggs, but I'm quite glad I didn't have to do any sort of thinking about an introduction for it, because
Yes.
I suspect that might have started to ruin it a little bit for me. As it is, it's going to go into the really enjoyable minor Coen brothers canon for me, and I will never watch this again.
Nope.
I will happily have spent the 2 and a bit, I think it is, hours with it, and yes, I enjoyed most of it. I had a smile on my face. I enjoyed the characters. I got to the end of it. Well, yes, that was the thing. I enjoyed it. I'm never going to think about it again, and perhaps that is the only way to approach it if you want to stay sane. I don't believe there's much of a point to any of it. No. It's just a nice little bunch of tales that I enjoyed the performances in. And it looks lovely as well, of course, but that's kind of table stakes for Coen brothers stuff, I think.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was a bit uneven in terms of how much I enjoyed it, but certainly I really enjoyed it, and I know there were lots of theories about what it's about. I'm not convinced I buy it, although I remember the first time I saw A Serious Man, and I thought, oh, is that it? I am disappointed. And then I found out later, because I wasn't really up in my Bible readings, that it's meant to be the story of Job. And like with that structure and go back, it's like, oh, right, I get it now. So maybe there is something more to it there, beyond simply, cynically subverting expectations and what you'd expect to be like kind of happy endings or anything like that for some of the stories. The Tim Blake Nelson thing is probably the most enjoyable section, and the best showcase for the Coens' amazing ability to write just insanely ridiculous but also awesome dialogue.
Oh yes,
nobody writes dialogue like the Coen brothers.
There were at least 3 moments in that section where I laughed out loud, and I was as happy as a clam. And I never thought I would hear myself saying this, but I genuinely, by the end of this, I genuinely just wished it had been 90 minutes of that character and Tim Blake Nelson.
Yeah, I'm not put off by Tim Blake Nelson, because what I immediately thought of when he appeared at the start of this film was "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?" Yeah, and he's fantastic in that. When he's been in other films, I've not particularly liked or disliked him that I can recall. Maybe in Minority Report he feels a bit out of place, but he's a kind of creepy guy in that, and it sort of works, I guess. He's meant to be, but for that section, I was like you, Craig, laughing so much. Great performance, funny songs, and just the Coen brothers' dialogue's amazing. The Liam Neeson section, incredibly dark and cynical, but believable.
My other half was genuinely offended by that section, and I kind of understand why.
It's a bit of a gear change in terms of tone as well, which is no doubt the intent. But
coming as it does after that second segment, which is obviously as bleak as you like, but had the good grace to be humorous with it.
But yeah, when he looks at that rock, it's like, oh, this isn't going to end well. No, I don't want this.
Stephen Root is always fantastic value. Also another returning person from Oh Brother, Where Art Thou too, who did a great performance in that. He's really fun in the James Franco section. The Tom Waits section though, it was probably the nicest looking. It was just gorgeous setting.
Definitely.
And, he's digging for some gold. Oh,
that happened.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's that section then. Okay. So that's probably was the low point. Was that section I don't know.
I at least rooted for his character. I at least was glad with the resolution of that. Even though I thought there's literally no value in this as a piece of film.
Yes,
and it needed to be 10, possibly 15 minutes shorter than it was. That was 5 minutes. That was 5 minutes of film stretched out to 20-25 minutes. No word of a lie. No point to that whatsoever.
Yeah, but the section on the Oregon Trail too. That was, I don't know. I think that's the longest section.
Yes, it is.
Probably the one I enjoyed second most. I just thought the characters were interesting.
That's it. They were super engaging, and And your fella, what did I say his name was again? He's got the most awesome name ever. Bill Heck's character, and Zoe Kazan's, but especially Bill Heck's, such an interesting character, just affable. I was just really, in the midst of all these terribly sort of chauvinistic characters and whatnot, he was a real sort of beacon of just decency and whatnot. I'm like, I hope nothing terrible happens to this guy, and well, it doesn't, but
it also sort of does.
It also sort of does, yeah. And that was frustrating because I felt that there was an entire film that could have been made there.
Yeah.
Just weird.
So I think the idea behind this was originally it was meant to be a series rather than a film, wasn't it?
I keep reading conflicting reports of that because the Coens have said no, this is always the way it was meant to have been brought to you. But then every other piece article I read on it suggests that yes, up until earlier this year, it was supposed to be an anthology TV series. So I don't know.
Always going to be a trilogy.
Yes, yes. I don't know who to believe. I don't know why the Coens would feel the need to lie, but there's enough differing opinion out there to suggest that
maybe it's something though, like that was always what they wanted to do, but it was Netflix were always, well, no, we'll do it if you do it is this way, or maybe it's something like that. It's more like not so much what was always going to be, it's like this is what they wanted, this is what the people were giving the money wanted.
Ultimately, I'm glad they got to do it this way because I don't think there's anything near enough there to have sustained a 6-part series.
No, the running times are so sort of...
A couple of those sections start to feel interminable as they are, never mind doubling or tripling the length of them.
I could have done to see a few more holes being dug.
Yeah. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. I think I will watch this again, but again, I'll watch anything by the Coen brothers again, apart from The Lady Killers.
Yeah.
Which I did make the mistake of watching again last year, I think. It's the first time I'd seen it since it was in the cinema. oh, well, this is worse than I remember. No, I'm glad they've gone back to let's just write our own stuff again, because that's how that works.
Yeah. Listen, a couple of minutes either side of that Archimedean solution to the problem of Clancy Brown. That is some of the best cinema I've witnessed, and that is some of the most sort of refreshing and, I don't know, just downright daft, just utterly enjoyable cinema that I've watched in a long, long time. And I just wish there had been more of that. I don't know what the purpose of this was. Not to say that everything has to have a purpose, but it feels like there ought to have been.
The name threw me as well, because I knew the name, and I've been. It's not even with effort. I've just been trying to avoid finding out pretty much anything about films at any point recently. I only booked the tickets for Spider-Man to the Spider-Verse because I was aware there was a new Spider-Man film coming out, and there was a preview of it at Cineworld to see it like a week early. I thought, oh, that looks good. And only after I booked the ticket, I was like, oh wait, it's the animated one I've seen the trailer for. I was thinking it was the new one that's like next year, the year after, with Tom Holland. But that turned out to be serendipitous because that was fantastic, that film. This didn't really know much. Like, new Coen Brothers film, all I need to know. Right, I'm there. But with it being called The Ballad of Buster Scruggs, I kind of thought it was all going to be about him.
Or at least bookended with,
Yeah, or like it's kind of like he'd like a storyteller.
It would be
a wee song in each one to introduce it. And I would have really enjoyed that because they did such a good job with the songs in his section. I actually would have liked that. Or I say a bookend, which is kind of what I was expecting. So the fact there wasn't actually more of Tim Blake Nelson is a wee bit of a disappointment. I really enjoyed it because I love the Coen Brothers, and there's not a lot they can do wrong for me. Again, Lady Killers aside.
Yeah, I would say for all my sort of niggles that we're bringing up here, I still really, really enjoyed it. And
it's definitely worth watching.
Yeah, it's not the best film I've seen this year, but it's in the running for being one of the most entertaining films that I've seen this year, along with a few others on this podcast that we'll get to. But so it's definitely well worth seeing. It's not going to change anyone's life, and as I say, I don't think I'm really going to go back to any point. But yeah, hugely enjoyed my time with it.
If they want to do this sort of thing for net and just muck about for Netflix every couple of years or something, that's fine. I'm in. I think just when you're dealing with a body of work such as theirs, this, like you say, Scott, this definitely you have to understand before you go in that this is definitely going to fall into the minor category, as you so rightly state. Don't go expecting No Country for Old Men or Fargo again, because you ain't going to get it. Although there are glimpses of that in it, which is, I think, perhaps the most frustrating thing. Even though this is them mucking about, even while they're mucking about, they still come out with some of the best work ever. You just kind of want them to pick that ball up and run with it rather than what it is that they were doing, whatever the hell that was. But yes, a curio. I don't think I shall probably ever go back and watch it again. If it is, it'll be for the first segment probably, or if they want to go back and revisit the tale of Bill Heck and Zoe Kazan, I'm on board for that as a movie, to be honest with you. But yes,